Hello. It's been a day. It's Monday though, right? Hey everybody. I'm Melissa with Beloved Bust. I'm popping in for my Facebook Live. We are going to be talking about aftercare and really what gets in the way of aftercare. Um, Three things we're going to highlight today. There's lots of things, but we're going to highlight three things. Shifting aftercare to above and beyond, like, oh, that's for those people, or right, not even accessible, not even in that thought pattern of like that is for us. Three things: shifting aftercare from above and beyond to like a yes, of course I'll be doing that, as in yes, I do my scar release, right? Yeah, I'm going to take the time to stretch. That's in my schedule. Like creating boundaries around that self-care, around that time, energy, right? And even mindset. So, what gets in the way of aftercare? And this would be in our own personal kind of view of aftercare. And we look at the three main resources, right? We just mentioned those: time, energy, as well as expectations, which has come up over the last couple of weeks a little bit. We're going to first talk about time. And I do have a blog. I'll put a link into that. I'll send it out in the newsletter about how to create some time or ways to sneak in that scar release, right? But time is so precious. And so when you are in recovery, when you are still not at your full, right? You don't even have a lot of energy just to get through your main day. You don't have time at the end of your day to do things. You're still trying to keep up with just the daily stuff that is required or that feels required, right? Just to kind of show up, work, and then of course stuff at home. Hey, how's it going? And so time feels kind of squeezed, right? Like even I just did some stretching sessions and I was really like, oh, I have to do this and this and this. I'll do it later. Very easy to put off. So again, making your self-care a priority. And for me, that's me putting it in my schedule, right? I put it on my little Google Calendar or whatever, and it's there. And then, of course, I have other reminders and ways to integrate that in my day. So time, though, one thing to understand about that is as you integrate the self-care, the aftercare in your world, you're going to get more time. Some of that squeeze that we feel, that overwhelm, is for all the things, right? And so we talk about it, how maybe we don't have a lot of spoons. This is going to give you more spoons. That simple scar release of just gentle, sustained compression on your scars or in areas that are tender or tight or painful. When you're in that stage of aftercare, right, that's going to create a softening and more space between you and that line of threshold, where underneath that line, you're good, you're managing things, right? And then over that line of threshold is overwhelm. And it doesn't matter what the last little thing kicked you over, right? You're out of spoons, you're in overwhelm. It's hard to have the resources and the bandwidth to just even compute and to make things happen or to just settle in and feel good in our bodies. We're looking at feeling good, feeling at ease with ourselves, with our time, how we're using our time, and structuring your beautiful day. So again, creating the time is going to give you more time. You're going to feel more spacious. So even just doing that little bits, right? And again, I'll put a link to the blog in the comments of a blog I wrote a while ago about how to sneak in that scar release throughout the day, right? And so making the time, put it in your calendar, and then maybe you notice something about yourself, whether you have more energy and more time in the morning, you feel more spacious, right? When we talk about time, think of that word, spacious. When do you feel most spacious? I have more energy in the mornings often, especially if I have a slow morning. So if I get up early enough to where I just have some sense of ease before I get involved in the day. And so that can be the time that I work on myself. That is a great time for me in the day. Some people find it's really helpful to create some time or have a routine where they work on themselves over that lunch kind of area, midday. And then, of course, maybe at night before you go to sleep or when you're winding down, you put your cozy pants on, whether it's a bath, whatever that self care is, right? Aftercare, putting yourself first as you're healing and as you're recovering, even from recovering from your recovery of breast cancer. So, time. And the big key to that is making the time for yourself is going to create more time, create more spaciousness. And I love that word, right? A little softening in our mind and our clarity. And as far as like the chaos and the thoughts and stuff, everything just kind of settles down and has this nice sense of ease, right? Spaciousness and ease. I don't know about you, but I want to sign up for that, right? Spaciousness and ease from me. All right, so another resource that is so precious, right, is just the energy. And you might be using all your spoons. You might be using all that energy just to get through the day, to go to work, to take care of the house, kids, whatever it is, wherever realm you're in that space, right? And so energy can be a big piece to it. If we put off that self-care, the scar release, for example, we're going to do it later, right? Well, later you might be done. Like you're just like, I can't do it. I'm going to watch me some Bridgerton and my cozy pants and just hang out, right? I'm not doing it. It's just not even a not doing it. It just isn't there. It's not available in the sense because, again, we're kind of in that overwhelm or we're just out of spoons. And so, again, when you create a schedule or a routine, if you will, of that aftercare piece, which one of those things, of course, includes your scar release and working on your body, the stretching of your own list of self-care, whether it's a walk in the woods or soaking in the tub, right? So energy, it's going to create more energy with that spaciousness and with that ease. So time, right, giving yourself the time is going to actually help you feel more spacious and more ease. So you'll have the sense of having more time available. Creating a sense of self-care or routine, getting that aftercare in is going to help you create more energy. So as you relieve pain and tightness, your body doesn't have to monitor so much, right? It's not trying to take care of you all the time. Your nervous system can go to a place of rest as opposed to on duty and active. And then we get more energy. So creating the time and allowing yourself to do that aftercare, to integrate that aftercare in your world is going to create more energy for yourself. So then you're on that train of momentum that we talk about in the Facebook group. You've got more energy and you feel more spacious. So it seems like there's more time. And so you continue to add that self-care and we start to relieve pain and tightness, right? You gain peace of mind as everything kind of settles, as you feel a more sense of ease about yourself, your body, and your world. Spaciousness, right? And when we talk about spaciousness, right, it can be in your thoughts and where you are, but also you're creating space in your body, space between the layers of tissue so everything can slide and glide and move around. And that is going to use less energy just for you to get through your day, right? So you have more spoons, you have more of that zip to go for that walk, right? To even start heading towards the gym or working with PT. That drive to the physical therapist isn't going to take it out of you, right? That extra errand or whatever, right? Ebb and flow is going to show up more for you, right? So creating the time is going to give you more time, spacious sense of ease. Creating that space to do the aftercare is going to actually give you more energy. So if you can find the time of day that works for you, whether it's you feel like a morning person and you have more energy in the morning, you'll also notice that if you integrate aftercare If you integrate that self-care through the middle of the day and at the end of the day, there's some consistency, and you're going to get even more energy and more spaciousness, more of that sense of ease with yourself and your body. The last resource I want to talk about, this one I don't know if it's a resource, right? But one thing that can get in the way of us getting on that momentum of aftercare is expectations. And so those can be very convoluted by other people, of course, as well as our own. So it's a really good idea to explore maybe what expectations, and you can do that in a journal. Maybe you have a good talk with another friend of yours, another breastie that is from a place of understanding, or you can even guide your best friend, maybe who hasn't had breast cancer, of what you need to hear, which is not solutions, right? I'm just going to vent and talk, and maybe we can pull out some beliefs that might be getting in my way, like that this is as good as it gets, right? We hear that from the doctors. We hear that just from culture. There's also this sense of when you're done, right? There's a celebration, cancer free. I am out of the woods. And then all of a sudden you realize you don't have to see the doctor until 6 months. And then there's this kind of space where your brain and the whole thing, you've had all of this care and people's eyes on you and watching and taking care of you, giving you the numbers, all the things. And then all of a sudden there's this space. That's the space for aftercare. And that's where I step in. That's where you step in with your self-care, right? The list. That's where the list that might be like your favorite thing. So it's handy when you need it. The scar release is huge. Gentle, sustained compression on anywhere where that scar is. Even the biopsy scars need a little attention. And so expectations can look like that this is just how it is, right? The expectation that I'll just heal later. The expectation I'll take time for that later. Or when I feel better, I'll be able to do more aftercare, right? And so if we step back, now is the time to integrate that aftercare. And then you'll feel better. And then we're on that healing train of momentum. And then you're feeling better. You have more energy, more time, spaciousness, and sense of ease. And you can examine, you can notice those thoughts of those expectations, and you can reframe them. We're never glossing over loss or any of those things. Those things are very important. But also, those often the expectations are kind of under the surface. They're operating undercover and they're not really in our attention. So we might be making decisions or feeling a little sense of defeated or settling things because there's an expectation underneath the surface. So you can write, explore. It can be driven from emotion or a feeling, a sense of something. We talked about last week about kind of exploring the sense of loss, even just a little bit. But expectations is another one. And if you notice that you might have the expectation that this is just as good as it gets, right? That's a that helps you because you're not being hard on yourself because you're still having pain or tightness or not doing the things that you love to do yet. But the other piece of that is it can be in the way of like, oh, I should do that. And that's like, oh, I don't really feel like it. I think this is just as good as it gets anyway. I'm fine, right? So it can be mind those edges, right? Are you using that in a sense to add to the part that is kind of not moving forward or expanding, right? And it's never anybody's fault. This is a culture thing. This is a healthcare system piece. And so it takes energy, it takes time, it takes resources and money to invest in yourself. And so investing the time to be with yourself and to create that in your schedule. Noticing when your energy is at the fullest, right? If you're a morning person, maybe in the afternoon you can sneak some time in for yourself, or even at night before you go to bed, right? We talk about the list of self-care and then noticing those expectations, and we can reframe those, explore what they are, what they're anchored in, the emotions and feelings, but then also know, is this really true? Is this as good as it gets? And it could be, but this is as you know and feel. the body can heal. We can create that spaciousness and sense of ease by adding some, there's like a continuity, consistency is that beautiful word. Adding some consistency, having trust in the process as the body heals. Asking yourself, what do I need? And again, we talked about that. You might just need time to process, which is time just to sit and stare at the fire or read. Have some spaciousness around you in your world. But also, in that time, you start to integrate ways of self-care. And we talk about those a lot in the group, and you get to pick what is working for you, right? Along with the manual therapy of scar release and working on yourself. But you're investigating, right? I feel really good in the tub. I feel kind of luxurious. I'm just sitting here in the tub. I don't have to do anything, right? Making your favorite food or having someone make dinner and you don't even participate or clean up. That can feel spacious and a sense of ease. And as we commit to those spaces of self-care, we're creating more time, energy, and softening those expectations. And actually, then you get to declare what you do want to believe, what does work for you. And we can use other words like, I'm still healing. I am on the biggest journey of recovering, and I'm finding all these new parts of myself. And that can take some time, and it can take some boundaries as I say no to certain things so that I have more time and more energy for the recovery, for the aftercare. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. Notice the time and maybe the stories around time, how maybe you don't have the time for self-care or that aftercare piece. And look at that, right? Notice the energy and where it's biggest, where you feel the fullest. It could be even what part of your week. And then integrating that consistent self-care. Notice those expectations, explore them, feel all the feels, and then let's look at how we can reframe them in a sense that I am on the healing journey, all the different words that might show up for you. And then you can, again, putting yourself first in that aftercare stage of recovering from breast cancer. I'm Melissa. I'm so glad you're here. Let me know what your self-care is. Maybe you have issues with time or issues with energy. Let me know what some of your expectations are that might be getting in the way of you stepping into that aftercare piece. And it might not even, again, it's never our fault. It can just be how everything is still, we're living in the smaller space because you're in recovery. So using all of these tools will create more spaciousness and sense of ease. I hope you have a marvelous day, and I'll talk to you soon. Happy Monday.